Hi, I'm Kraft. I'm an athletic trainer and exercise physiologist at the Sanford Power Center in Fargo, and I'm just going to go over some things that will help maybe reduce the chance of injury and muscle soreness when the gyms finally open back up and you can get back in the gym. So number one, you want to avoid the terrible twos. So trying to do too much, too soon, too heavy, too hard, too fast, too often. You just want to ease back into it, okay? If you try to get right back to your previous workout, you might be afflicted with what's called DOMS, D-O-M-S, and that's delayed onset muscle soreness. And that'll hit you about a day and a half after your first workout. So in order to kind of avoid that soreness, just start out with easy, short workouts. Lower your expectations. You're not going to be able to jump right back into where you were. And just be patient and be consistent with your training. Gradually ramp up, okay? Number two, the biggest predictor of any injury is a previous injury. So if you've had a knee or a lower back or a shoulder injury, and you've seen a physical therapist or an athletic trainer for those injuries, just start back and include those exercises that your PT or your athletic trainer gave you to target those weak spots. Number three, you want to make sure you have a really thorough warm-up before your workout. So with this downtime that we've had because of this virus, I'm sure we've all been probably doing a little too much sitting. So we really need to open up our hips, improve our posture. So a couple things we can do for that are some foam rolling. So when we sit a lot, we get rounded shoulders, we get kind of hunched over. And so a very good exercise would be to get on the foam roller and just loosen up your upper back or your thoracic spine. So what you would do is just lay it perpendicular to the roller. Cross your arms like you're giving yourself a big hug, and then you're just going to roll back and forth. This is going to get a little more extension in your upper back to help combat some of that stress from sitting too much. And you might notice your back cracking and popping while you do this. Rest assured, nothing's breaking. You're just kind of realigning your vertebrae in your spine. Okay? Another thing you can do is loosen up your hip flexors. We want to develop really good hip mobility. So when you sit a lot, your hamstrings, your hip flexors are going to get tight. So we need to loosen those up. And for that, we're just going to do a hip flexor stretch. So you could have one foot out in front and put your back foot up on a bench or a chair. And then you're just going to drop down and stay nice and tall. And you can hold this stretch for about 30 seconds. You should feel this stretch in the back leg. If you lean forward, you're going to lose that stretch. So make sure you stay nice and tall. And you want to do about 3 sets on each leg with that. Now, some particular exercises you can do to kind of ease back into your workout. These are all corrective exercises. They can help reduce the chance of injury. So number one would just be what's called a knee hug to a reverse lunge. So this is going to stretch those hamstrings that have gotten tight while you were taking a break. So you're going to hug your knee to your chest and then just take a big step back, get that nice stretch in the hip, opening up the hips. Now anytime you do a single leg exercise, not only are you working strength, but you're working mobility and balance and strength as well. Okay? So that's one very good exercise you can do. Another one that will target your hamstrings is what's called a single leg RDL, and RDL stands for Romanian deadlift. So single leg RDL, you could use a light weight. Here I'm just going to use a kettlebell. You're going to stand on one leg. Now with the leg you're standing on, keep that knee a little bit bent. You don't want to lock that knee out. So keep it a little bit bent. You'll hold the weight in the opposite hand. Okay? And then from here, just go down slow, almost touch the weight to the floor, and then you can drive the hips through. Okay? Now with something like this, you could do about 3 sets of 8 on each leg, and it's really stretching your hamstring on the way down and then strengthening it on the way up. Okay? Now a third exercise you could do, another single leg exercise, is a rear foot elevated split squat. Okay? And what you need for that is a bench or a chair. Again, you'll have one leg out in front, back foot's up on the bench. If you like, you can hold a weight in the opposite arm. And then from here, you're just going to drop down into that hip flexor stretch. And then rather than holding it, we're going to come right back up. And again, we're getting balance training, stability training, mobility training in the hip, and also strength training. So again, 3 sets of maybe 8 to 10 on each leg. Now as you're doing this, make sure your knee tracks straight ahead. Don't let that knee cave in as you're dropping down. Keep the knee pointed straight ahead. Okay, so the single leg exercises will target your lower body, but we also want to work on your core stability too. And when we talk about core, everybody just assumes like the abdominals and the washboard abs and the six pack, okay? But really your core is a cylinder of muscles. So there's a front, which we all think of as our abdominals. There's the side, the obliques, and then there's also your back. So think of it as a girdle that kind of surrounds your whole midsection. We want to work all those areas, and that'll help reduce injury too. So some easy exercises, well not easy, but simple exercises you can do. First one's just a plank, but rather than the normal plank where we're on our forearms, I'm going to demonstrate a push-up plank. So here you can get some upper body training as well. So just get right at the top of a push-up, brace your abs like somebody's going to hit you in the stomach, and just hold this for 15 to 30 seconds. Now if that's easy, rather than going longer, you can just lift one leg up for maybe 15 seconds without trying to let your hips drop, and then you can also switch to the other side. Now, what we're looking at there is you want to keep your back nice and straight as a board. Don't let your back sag, don't pike up at the hip, and this will really train your abdominals safely, okay? Now to work the sides of your core, we can do just a simple side bridge. Again, brace your abs, stay as straight as a board, and again, hold that for 15 to 30 seconds. This is tougher than the push-up plank I just showed. But again, this is working the sides. Obviously, we want to work both sides, so make sure you hit each side. Again, once you can build up to 3 sets of 30 seconds, you can, rather than going longer, we can make it tougher by lifting that top leg for maybe 15 seconds and then dropping it down. And then gradually working up to 30 seconds straight. Then the last thing we can do to kind of work the backside of your core is do what's called the bird dog. So you're going to be on all fours, and then you're just going to lift opposite arm and opposite leg. And this is working the lower back muscles, and you can hold that for 6 seconds and then switch sides. And you can build up to 3 sets of 5 each way. So those are some easy exercises you can include in your workout as you're getting back into the gym. Remember, try to avoid the terrible twos. Don't do too much, too fast, too often, too heavy. Short, easy workouts. Be patient, be consistent, and you'll gradually get back to where you started.